All right, welcome back to the channel. So it looks like Blair Cobbs has came out today saying that Errol Spence is an alcoholic and Terence Crawford didn't look good in his last fight, and he says that Terence Crawford is ducking him. I am definitely going to break this down for y'all. Let's talk about it in this video. King Jr. got another video for y'all. Please sure that you like and subscribe to the channel to get all your latest boxing news. With that being said, Blair Cobbs recently came out today stating that Errol Spence Jr. hasn't been like him outside the boxing ring. Because Blair Cobbs feels like that he had a harder route outside the boxing ring instead of inside the boxing ring and stuff like that. So Blair Cobbs kind of went on a small rant today. And he says that Errol Spence has not accomplished alcoholism. He was on the alcohol outside the ring. He couldn't do nothing about it. And he says that Terence Crawford didn't look good in his last fight and stuff like that. And he says a lot of these fighters can't face adversity outside the ring. And he says he already did that. And he already been through the hellfire and stuff like that. And I'm going to play the audio for you guys in a minute. So with that being said, Blair Cobbs, I don't know why he went on this rant today. Obviously, I'm going to get down to this point here. Errol Spence Jr., we know that he has suffered a horrific car accident. And before the car accident, Errol Spence Jr. Was not focused on the sport of boxing. He was in the clubs. He was somewhat taking that route that Adrian Bronner was taking, staying in the clubs, drinking and stuff like that, partying, just having a good time. And so when Errol Spence has that car accident, Errol Spence realized, look, I got to get it together or it's going to be over for me. So Errol Spence went through fire and a war with the car. And since then, Errol Spence Jr. Has been doing well. We know he's on a 2-year layoff, but he came back after a 2-year layoff against Sean Porter, and then he fought Danny Garcia, who was arguably the best welterweight in the world. And now Errol Spence, I believe he's coming off another 2-year layoff, and he's fighting one of the best welterweights in the world within Yordenis Ugas. And I think that the fact of the matter is, I don't know what Blair Cobbs is really talking about. Then he says that Terence Crawford doesn't want to fight him. Well, okay, since Terence Crawford, like you said, seems to be ducking you, well, you need to go ahead and try to get a fight with Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford seems like he's not going to be able to try to get the Keith Thurman fight. Keith Thurman looks to be waiting for 8 months to try to get the fight with Terence Crawford. And it seems to me that Virgil Ortiz was interested in fighting Terence Crawford until he realized that, oh, no, I don't need to mess with Terence Crawford. Then he flip-flop, turned back around, says he wants Terence Crawford, and Terence Crawford says, I'll end your career and stuff like that. So if you really want Terence Crawford, go ahead, cool. Continue to call Terence Crawford out, because I already know what Terence Crawford and Errol Spence Jr. are going to say. Errol Spence Jr. is probably going to say this dude is way tailor-made for me. And Terence Crawford says, I'll probably end your career. So that would be a good fight for Terence Crawford. That would be a good stay busy fight. And we know Blair Cobbs does not have a lot of time on his side as well. He's 32 years of age, so I can understand why he wants the big fights. But Blair Cobbs is not on the level, like I said before, there's levels to the sport of boxing for a reason. Blair Cobbs is not on the level of a Terence Crawford or Errol Spence Jr. We recently see Blair Cobbs had called out Jaron Ennis a while back and says that he was willing to fight Jaron Ennis, that he will beat Jaron Ennis. I do not think, absolutely not, he beats Jaron Ennis. I like the heart of Blair Cobbs, that he's not afraid to fight anybody. But when it comes skill from skill and steel sharpened wood, Blair Cobbs is the wood. Errol Spence Jr., Jaron Ennis, and Terence Crawford is the steel. And Blair Cobbs will get obliterated. Blair Cobbs has some boxing ability. He's big. He's somewhat slick. He has power in both hands. He has a little bit of knockout power, and he's fighting a dude named Alexis Roca. I feel like that Blair Cobbs should have a lot of fights under his belt, but he is signed with Golden Boy Promotions, and we know that Golden Boy Promotions is basically a Mexican promotion for fighters, and I don't understand why black fighters try to go over there, even though Golden Boy is basically pro Mexican fighters, but Blair Cobbs just chose the wrong thing. So If you guys wondering why Blair Cobbs isn't fighting, because he signed with the Pro promotional company. Oscar De La Hoya ain't going to be able to get him the fights like he think. I don't understand why these black fighters go to these Mexican promoters and fan bases that that these black fighters think they can win the Mexican fans, but the Mexican fans is with their people. They're not with you and stuff like that. But it makes absolutely no sense why Blair Cobbs has went on this little rant today. I would love to see Blair Cobbs in a few other fights, but if Blair Cobbs really wants all the smoke, why not get all the smoke? And you got a guy within Virgil Ortiz as well who was willing to fight Terence Crawford, but he's fighting the guy within Michael McKinson, and the guy has 2 knockouts. Are you kidding me, Virgil Ortiz? So Terence Crawford doesn't have an opponent. So Blair Cobbs, since you says he's ducking you and stuff like that, step up to the table, fight Terence Crawford. So I'm going to play what Errol Spence, what Blair Cobbs said about Errol Spence and stuff like that. So here's the audio footage of it.
It's a good fight. I think Ugas is going to win. Honestly, I think Ugas is going to win. When I look inside Errol Spence's eyes, I don't see a fighter that has the true fighting spirit anymore. He's defeated. He's defeated outside the ring. People need to understand that the real fight is outside the ring. And Errol Spence had to face some demons outside the ring with alcoholism and this and that, and dealing with hurt and all this other things. So we have to see what happens to him when he's tested outside the ring. All these other young fighters, I'd love to see what happens when they're tested outside the ring.
So there you have it. I've also got to mention this as well. He says that Errol Spence is not the same fighter. He's still struggling with alcoholism and stuff like that. And he can see it in his eyes that he's not going to be able to focus on the fight with Yordenis Ugas. Well, first of all, Errol Spence is a full revamped Errol Spence Jr. Errol Spence Jr. has been training hard and dedication while everybody's cutting the cake. Errol Spence Jr. is back in the gym training hard as he possibly can go, because Errol Spence knows that he came off a 2-year layoff. And Errol Spence, according to his local sparring partner, his longtime sparring partner and friend Marvis Jarvis, says that when Errol Spence sparred with him for a few months back, he said that Errol Spence Jr. was not at his full best. Errol Spence Jr. power has faded, but when Errol Spence Jr. has gotten back into the ring, he says that Errol Spence Jr. hit him so hard that he blacked his eye. And Marvelous Jarvis feels like that Errol Spence Jr. ring IQ has improved drastically. So I feel like, I'm not going to break this down, but I feel like Errol Spence Jr. is going to beat Yordenis Ugas. If you guys haven't checked out on my videos on why I think Errol Spence is going to beat Yordenis Ugas, go ahead and check those videos out on my channel. With that being said, Blair Cobbs also stated that he's also fighting with some demons as well. Errol Spence has tamed those demons that he wants fight. This isn't the same Errol Spence from 2017, 2018, when he was doing all the partying and having fun and spending a lot of money rolling around with his fans trying to impress the people. This is a fully ramped Errol Spence Jr. Errol Spence Jr. knows what he has to do to support his family at the end of the day. He knows what he's got to do if he wants legacy for his career and stuff like that. So I don't understand what Blair Cobbs is talking about, that Errol Spence doesn't have the fuel in the fire. Whatever he said, I don't give a damn about what Blair Cobbs says. But Blair Cobbs, if you feel like that these guys are ducking you, go ahead and continue to call them out. I have you not beating Terence Crawford at all. I think you get stopped by Terence Crawford. You showed that you was recently dropped by a bum that we didn't even know. And I have to admire Blair Cobbs. He says he's willing to fight the best of the best. But get this, when you sign with the wrong promotional company, you're going to get nothing but tomato cans. Blair Cobbs is 32 years of age, guys. So time is not on his side. He's older than Errol Spence Jr. and he's a few years younger than Terence Crawford. So if I was in Blair Cobb's shoes, I would probably do the same thing. But don't sit here and say that Errol Spence is still an alcoholic and Terence Crawford, well, basically he said it in another video. He says that he wants Terence Crawford and he feels like that Terence Crawford didn't look good in his last fight. He wants to take advantage of that and fight Terence Crawford and stuff like that. Well, Blair Cobbs, if you such a stud, if you such a warrior, go ahead and continue to call out Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford seems to not have a dance partner. You're not going to get the fight with Errol Spence Jr. and stuff like that, because Errol Spence Jr., he's got bigger things to worry about. So why not give Terence Crawford a stay busy fight, and so he can end your career early, since you think you want to fight the best of the best. But guys, Blair Cobbs says that Errol Spence is struggling with alcoholism and stuff like that, and he says none of these top guys want to fight him and stuff like that. So I wish Blair Cobbs the best for his career. I don't think he's going to accomplish much in his career due to the age and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, we got to see what's next for Blair Cobbs, or after, if he's successful against Alexis Roca. I believe that's the guy he's fighting next. With that being said, guys, it is what it is. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment. This is your boy King Jr. I'm out of here. Peace.